This video is going to be an intro to properties of water, and there'll be another video specifically about the 6 main properties of water that we're going to talk about in class. Water, you need to know water is awesome. Water makes up most of our bodies. Water covers the majority of our earth. Biology loves talking about water. Lots of stuff can be related to properties of water. So you really need to know properties of water, and you need to know that water is awesome. Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. Okay. Water is considered a polar molecule. That means it has poles to it, like the North Pole, South Pole, or poles of a magnet, positive, negative, or like we had positive and negative terminals of batteries. It's not going to be the same thing, but the idea that there's positive and negative sides is the same. And the reason that water has a polar molecule, and in water it has slightly negative area and slightly positive areas. And if I sort of cut this water molecule in half, I have the negative area on one side and the positive area on the other. And the reason we have that is because oxygen tends to hog electrons, like the kid that always hogged the crayons in kindergarten. And because oxygen hogs electrons, and electrons, remember, are negatively charged, oxygen therefore becomes slightly negative. Now, it's not an ion, it's not totally negative, it doesn't own those electrons, it just spends more time with the negative electrons and therefore is slightly negative. And therefore, the hydrogen become positive because they spend less time with their electrons. So there's more electrons over on the side with the oxygen than there are over on the side with the hydrogen. Therefore, this side is negative and this side is positive. This polarity allows water to form things called hydrogen bonds. All right, hydrogen bonds were not covered in our bonding video because they're going to be very weak bonds, and they exist between molecules, not to make molecules. All right, so the molecules are already made when hydrogen bonds come into play. These bind whole molecules together. And so when we talk ultimately about properties of water, all the properties of water will lead you back to the fact that it forms hydrogen bonds, and the fact that they form hydrogen bonds will lead you back to the fact that water is polar. All right? This is a drawing of 5 different water molecules. Now notice water molecules always sort of have a shape that looks like a Mickey Mouse head. So you have an oxygen and 2 hydrogen. Now, of course, some of these are rotated, but let's go through and let's label positive and negative ends here. Oxygens are always negative, hydrogens are always positive. Positive, negative, etc. Let me do that. All right. And let's just notice that these dotted lines here represent hydrogen bonds, H bonds. Now notice that the hydrogen bonds do not connect 2 hydrogens together, all right? Hydrogen bonds go from one area that's positive to one area that's negative. So because of these slight charges, parts of molecules are now attracted to each other, just like we had in ionic compounds. Negatives are attracted to positives, positives are attracted to negatives. Okay? So if I ask you to draw a picture of 3 or 4 water molecules with charges and hydrogen bonds, you should have all bonds between the hydrogen of one atom to the oxygen of the other.